and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode, I'm discussing the 1998 science fiction horror film, The Faculty, as directed by Robert Rodriguez. The film sees a group of mismatched high school students band together to thwart a backdoor alien invasion happening right under their noses within the school faculty itself, seemingly under the control of an invisible force, making them do their bidding, infecting the other staff, the students, and anybody who gets in their way. As the invasion takes hold, our unlikely friends must work together to find a way to stop the alien menace before it takes over their school for good, and ultimately save the rest of the world from suffering the same fate. So, this film is one of my all-time favourites in the genre. One of the earliest sci-fi horrors I can actually remember watching, bar for, of course, the Alien franchise. For me, this has always been a fresh and funky take on the Body Snatchers premise, offering some new twists and turns along the way, and incorporating a more modern take, focused directly at a more teenage audience, shall we say, than many of its similarly themed predecessors. Now, I've been a fan of this film ever since it was released, taking the chance to see a movie that took the essence of a Scream movie and thrust it with a delectably sci-fi twist. However, it didn't perform well at the time, but has since garnered quite the cult following, and more than deservedly so. I appreciate that, strictly speaking, it's a copy. It's not an wholly original piece of work, indeed copying elements from many different movies, horror, sci-fi and otherwise, but all done in the best possible way. More than just taking a passing influence from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movies, to which the film's main premise is set, but indeed very much from John Carpenter's 1982 movie, The Thing, with a number of fantastic similarities thrown in to add to the fun. But it is quirky, and it is a quirky and fun way in which it's all pieced together, which makes this an interesting watch, and a most enjoyable one at that. It's not a parody. It pays straight up homage to the films that it takes from, It doesn't seek to send them up, and indeed plays to many of their strengths and most iconic moments. And it knows it does this, They have great fun with the premise and the ideas they throw around, and hark back to some of the source material throughout, especially Invasion of the Body Snatchers, in some delectable and intriguing ways. It has a screenplay repenned by Kevin Williamson, who indeed brought us the screenplays to such of the films as some of those in the Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer series. And indeed, notwithstanding being the creator of the late 90s to early 2000s classic TV series Dawson's Creek. He is one of those writers that's a little bit hit and miss. He's kind of probably had more misses these days after going off the boil a bit, but in his heyday, you knew that if you had a Kevin Williamson script attached to the movie, the dialogue was going to be absolutely on point, full of pop culture references and teen angst, twisting and turning, churning concepts and ideas against a teen-angled social commentary. Now, as I've said, Williamson kind of reworked the screenplay for this movie from an initial draft proposed in the early 90s by David Wetcher and Bruce Kimmel. I believe the same story was used, but Williamson was brought on board to make it more appealing to the hip youth of the day, adding more characters and padding it out with his trademark approach to storytelling. Absolutely, this is a chock-a-block full of, the standard 90s high school collective used so extensively by Williamson and others of the period. We have the popular kids, the tortured soul, the introvert, the geek, the new kid, the outcast, all with that distinctly 90s style. It has a fantastic cast making up the backbone of this ensemble, with the likes of Jordana Brewster, Clea DuVall, Josh Hartnett, Famke Janssen, Elijah Wood, Josh Hartnett and Robert Patrick, and that is just to name a few. Certainly a very relevant cast for the time, and quite the mix across the board, and certainly some great talent. And with all this, it is really, it is kind of Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Scream meets The Breakfast Club, with a Williamson twist and a Rodriguez flavour. It's more an upbeat horror, quirky and very punchy, reasonably well paced. There is always something going on and never really a dull minute. It balances the humour with the horror exceptionally well. It's gory, you know, in all the right places, and has some decently icky moments too. For me, it still holds up incredibly well today. Albeit some of the effects have suffered, you know, for the most part, they don't deter from the suspense and the intrigue, but they do have that 90s charm, you know. Although they are, apart from the finale, used fairly sparingly, allowing the film more time to concentrate on its characters, their interaction, and the overall plot. It's the kind of film that's essential not to know too much on your first viewing, which is why I haven't given much away. That's where a lot of the fun is for this movie, you know. But it's also the kind of film you can more than enjoy on a repeat watch, as you look for kind of all those subtle hints and clues along the way, leading you to a fantastically devious showdown finale. And one, it did, on the first go-around, it did keep me guessing until that very last second. It also boasts a brilliant 90s soundtrack with some of the popular artists of the time, such as Garbage, Oasis, Creed, Sheryl Crow, giving it that, you know, most again of that distinctive 90s style. Whilst also at the same time bringing a classically edgy and suspenseful score by Marco Beltrami, who indeed also penned the score to the movies in the Scream franchise. Who absolutely nails it again, bringing his trademark harrowing tones and acute tension-building themes to the mix here with a sci-fi zest. Overall, The Faculty is a superb 90s coming-of-age high school sci-fi horror movie with the usual ragtag band of students featuring a Williamson twist and indeed a morbidly wicked homage to some of the horror classics such as Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Thing, brought to life by Robert Rodriguez, and you know, with his kind of funky style and inclusive direction. It is a fresh and funky take on this style of film in the horror genre, playful with its themes, dialogue and characters, whilst also being dark and twisted in its execution. A smart and edgy sci-fi horror, it does take from a similar story that we have seen many times before, but adds its own fresh take on the genre, and indeed brings us a fantastic cast and a host of fun characters, which, along with its high school setting, certainly makes it relatable to many. You know, there is a character in here for all of us to relate to, even the aliens among us. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst MovieTalk, and definitely love to have you back. But most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.